Hello everyone, welcome to CNA, the daily newspaper analysis. So today we are back with the following list of topics to discuss. But before starting, I just want to convey you all a message that if you want to avail our offers as well as our smart books, please do join our WhatsApp group as well as the Telegram group, which is the joining can be done with the link given below. Okay, so please follow our comment sections. You will get two links, one which is the Telegram channel, one which is the WhatsApp group. Please do join these two channels for our latest updates. So now let's start with the first topic says about Uttarakhand's uniform civil code. Okay, तो यहाँ पे उत्तराखंड में सिविल कोड यूसीसी लाने वाला है, ठीक है। तो इसी के लिए यहाँ पे सजेशंस मांग रहे थे लोगों से उत्तराखंड गवर्नमेंट। सो देयरफॉर यहाँ पे बहुत सारे सजेशंस आए हैं, ठीक है, बेसिकली फ्रॉम सम ऑफ दी हिंटरलैंड एरियाज ऑफ उत्तराखंड, ठीक है। तो लेकिन यहाँ पे हम लोग को वो सजेशंस इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बेसिकली हम लोग का इंपॉर्टेंट है कि व्हाट इज बेसिकली दिस यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड। ओके, सो इफ यू say about this uniform civil code, we all know that this would provide one law for the entire nation, including every religious communities. यहाँ पे irrespective of religion होता है, and it matters of their personal such as marriages, divorce, inheritance, adoption, सब में होगा। हम लोग का जो article 44 है, that is under the part of 4 of DPSP, that is directive principles of the state policies. We could see that article 44 may define hai about the constitution laying down that state shall endeavor to secure a UCC for the citizens through the Indian territory. Okay, and this DPSP as defined as under article 37 are not justiciable. We all know that. So today, what is this UCC, or what is the status of this UCC in our country? See, in most of the civil matters, India follows UCC, such as Indian Contracts Act of 1872, Civil Procedure Act, then Transfer of Property Act 1882, then Partnership Act, Evidence Act. यह हम लोग का बहुत सारे हैं, ठीक है। तो ये सिविल मैटर्स में हम लोग यूज करते हैं। In certain matters, however, there is diversity even under this civil laws, as states have made hundreds of amendments to this. And several states even refuse to be governed by a uniform motor vehicle act of 2019. So at present, I can only see that Goa is only Indian state that has implemented UCC. तो आज दूसरे स्टेट्स भी आ रहे हैं, उत्तराखंड आ रहे हैं, ठीक है। कल परसों इवन आई हैव हर्ड अबाउट दैट द स्टेट्स लाइक यूपी, दे आर आल्सो ट्राइंग टू प्रमोट द यूसीसी। तो यहाँ पे सब स्टेट्स अपना अपना एक यूसीसी का कानून लेके आ रहे हैं, और इसके लिए यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, सजेशंस आ रहे हैं, कमेटी के द्वारा सजेशंस लिया जा रहा है सब लोगों से। सो ये जो ईसीसी है, this UCC directly dates back to British India when a report was basically submitted around 1835. And this report basically stressed on the need for uniformity in the codification of Indian laws that relates to crimes, evidences, contracts. And that committee recommended, or that report recommended, that personal laws of Hindus and Muslims are be kept outside such codification. तो इसी के वजह से हम लोग का शुरू हुआ क्या, this UCC, or this division between the Hindus as well as the Muslims. So even the legislation dealing with personal issues increase, and this forced the government in 1941 to form a committee which is known as B.N. Rao Committee to codify what, Hindu law. तो इसके वजह से हम लोग का हिंदू सक्सेशन एक्ट शुरू हुआ 1956 का, ठीक है। फिर there are various number of other judgments which said about bringing uniformity, okay, by the respective government. फिर गवर्नमेंट का वो शाह बनो केस 1985 इज अ वेल नोन केस। फिर एक और केस आता है 1995 में, सरला मुदगल केस, which deal with the issue of bigamy and conflict between the personal laws existing on matters of marriages, ठीक है। 2017 में हम लोग का जो सायरा बनो केस है, which deal the practice of triple तलाक as unconstitutional, जो ट्रिपल तलाक हम लोग बोलते हैं तलाक ए बिद्दत, ठीक है। And by arguing that practices such as triple talaq and polygamy adversely affected the right of women to a life of dignity. तो यहाँ पे इसी वजह से you can see that there are various suggestions, यहाँ पे देख सकते हो उत्तराखंड से भी आ रहा है कि there is suggestions to ban polygamy and polyandry because this directly affects the right of our women to live with dignity. So therefore we as a country also need this UCC, as here if UCC is implied, all citizens must be treated as equals. And the enforcement of UCC would help narrow down the religious divide in our country, like India, where people of different religions reside. And it will provide protection to even these vulnerable sections, simplify their laws, and even ensure some of the gender justice, which directly adheres to the principles of secularism. लेकिन फिर भी हम लोग का यहाँ पे क्या है, challenges आता है UCC को implement करने के लिए. What is the major challenges? It is against the concept of secularism. Okay, because in India, people are having different religious faith, and diverse religious practices make it difficult to implement in every religion. Because the minorities, that is Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, and Zoroastrianisms, have a misconception that UCC will destroy their religious practice and they will be compelled to follow the religious practice of the majorities, that is basically the Hindus. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Unawareness of the people. So the most significant issue is basically this unawareness. और बाकी politics का तो क्या ही बात बोलूं, communal politics is another thing. Okay, because the large section of the society sees it as a majoritarianism under the grasp of social reform. और उसके बाद हम लोग का क्या है, constitutional hurdle भी है. जैसे हम लोग article 25 which seeks to preserve the freedom to practice, propagate and profess any religion, it gets into conflict. And with the concepts of equality getting enshrined in the article 14, उसको भी violate करते हैं, right to equality नहीं होता है. So therefore today the need of the hour is that the government and the society should work hard to build trust, and more importantly, it should go ahead with some of the social reformers rather than going for some of the religious conservatives. तो हम लोग को enhance क्या करना चाहिए? Social reformers को यहाँ लाना चाहिए. And rather than going for an omnibus approach, मतलब एक unidirectional approach, the government should bring in several aspects such as marriage, adoption, succession, maintenance, सब में सबको लाना चाहिए. Why only one respective element? सब चीज यहाँ पे लाना चाहिए. So the need of the hour is the codification of such personal laws, and a balance between this protection of fundamental rights and religious dogmas of the individuals must be carved out. Without that, we cannot implement such number of a stricter rule, such number of a unified rule over the whole country, which is possessing a huge diversity today. ठीक है, तो अभी यहाँ पे उत्तराखंड में चल रहे हैं, देखते हैं अभी बाद में क्या होता है, उत्तराखंड लगा पाते हैं यूसीसी या नहीं. ठीक है, चलो नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं. सेंटर डबल्स फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी. छोटा सा एक न्यूज है. Center, the UN government directly doubles the fertilizer subsidy as price see a surge. Okay, so it is to insulate farmers from the sharp increase in the prices. The center announced this decision. Okay, और ये subsidy जो बढ़ेगा, it will be directly from 2 rupees around 2.15 trillion. Okay, 2.15 trillion तक from the budget that is level under financial year 23. And this move was very necessitated because there is a sharp spike in global prices of urea, okay, even diammonium phosphate and MOP in the last year. So recently, even the government said that in addition to the fertilizer subsidy of around 1.05 trillion in the budget, an additional amount of rupees 1.10 trillion is being provided to further cushion our farmers who is basically taking these fertilizers, who is basically using these fertilizers, and this amount to around 2.15 trillion of this respective budget. So recently we could see that because of the scenario that is directly going on, that is main scenario क्या होता है, Russian-Ukrainian conflict. So amid this Ukraine-Russian conflict, the price of the pooled gas has risen 10% quarter on quarter, and the earlier expectation of the price would soften gradually. But abhi, in every period of time, we could see that slowly and slowly, because we are very much dependent on the imports of the fertilizers directly coming in from Russia. Therefore, today, in every circumstances, we are facing such number of price rise. And इसी के लिए गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर भी क्या हो रहा है, सब्सिडी का बर्डन आ रहा है. तो अराउंड 7,000 करोड़ का एक बर्डन आ गया है गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर, just because of this fight, just because of this war, and which accounts for around 85% of the volume production. तो सोच सकते हो, fertilizers that are directly coming from the outside countries, be it Russia, and we are basically dependent on 85% of the fertilizers coming in from outside. तो ये बहुत heavy quantity है. So therefore यहाँ पे जो fertilizers का सब्सिडी है वो डबल क्या कर दिया गया है ताकि हम लोग का फार्मर्स को थोड़ा रिलीफ मिल सके यहाँ पे. ठीक है, and they could not directly face some type of challenges associated with the procuring of such number of fertilizers. ठीक है, तो एक छोटा सा न्यूज था, याद रखना. Next, India UK FTA. So we know India and UK does not have an free trade agreement. Basically they have gone with the general system of preferences, GSP. Okay, तो अभी यहाँ पे proposals आ रहा है कि we will directly go ahead with this FTA. तो FTA होने का बात बोल रहे हैं. तो we know about the FTA. FTA क्या होता है? It's an agreement between two or more nations to reduce barriers to imports and exports among them. And under this free trade policy, goods and services can be bought and sold across international borders with little or no government tariffs or subsidies or to inhibit their respective exchanges. And these FTAs usually cover trade in goods, and it can cover other intellectual property rights also. So the concept of free trade is directly the opposite of trade protectionism or economic isolationism. तो इसीलिए यहाँ पे जो इंडिया और यूके, बिकॉज वी हैव टू गो अहेड विद इंडियाज एंड यूके's FTA, because today we know that as a country like us, okay, being a country like India, we can see that as of 22 we have around 13 FTAs, which basically include the South Asian Free Trade Area. It will include Nepal, it will include Bhutan, then it will it also include some of the Southeast Asian nations, be it Thailand, Singapore, Japan, and Malaysia. Also, we have got FTA with Mauritius, UAE, Australia. During the last 5 years, we have already signed. Okay, then we know about that India is directly UK's 12th largest trading partner. Okay, and therefore the trade balance maintained by India with UK has largely been a surplus. So therefore, we have seen about that the country like UK, which is majorly going in for a trade with India, and this trade is basically like it's having some of the historical coincidences. तो ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग बस आजादी के बाद से हम लोग ये कर रहे हैं. These people only ruled us, तो हम लोग का trade उस टाइम भी चल रहा था between British India and British Empire. Okay, so therefore today we see about that it has got a huge leap of markets, and we can directly earn a lot many number of benefits going in for an FTA with this UK. तो अभी वहां पे ही ये सब बात बोला गया है कि like it will directly tighten screws on these generic drugs, because today we know that we are directly known as the world pharmacy. So any number of drugs that is directly going in from India towards UK, okay, so they will be very much at a lesser price over there. Okay, so today we see that India is very much seeking from the UK to remove all trade bottlenecks, and India also seeks from Britain to reduce its carbon footprint by around 45% and promote green energy, and also help India to promote its green energy sector. So if this FTA directly comes into prominence, we would say that agriculture related aspects में हम लोग को बहुत ज़्यादा फायदा मिल जाएगा, and then also education हम लोग को बहुत ज़्यादा फायदा हो जाएगा. So in the post-Brexit era, we can see that this India-UK FTA would be a crucial step for the UK to reduce the dependencies on EU and establish independent trade ties outside of the EU, that is the European Union. Okay, India on the other hand could use this opportunity to further boost the Make in India program and secure strategic deals in the sectors like defense, cybersecurity, R&D, healthcare, because UK, we all know, is a prominent player amongst these respective deals. So this FTA between India and UK will significantly help bring down the current trade barriers and restrictions on transfer of goods and services, and would definitely promote investments in relation to various number of exports as well as imports across every sector that we deal with. ठीक है, ऑल्सो यहाँ पे जो हम लोग का जॉब क्रिएटिंग सेक्टर है, इसको भी बूस्ट मिलेगा. ऑल्सो वी ऑल नो अबाउट यूके बीइंग अ परमानेंट मेंबर ऑफ द सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल, and strengthening bonds with UK could help India in issues such as standoff with China. Okay, also it may help India to become a permanent member in the Security Council, considering India and UK being the 5th and the 6th largest economy of the world. तो इसीलिए ये FTA हम लोग के लिए बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, तो ये जितने जल्दी हो सके, अभी देखो जैसे हम लोग का इंडियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर, इंडियन ओरिजिन प्राइम मिनिस्टर ये बना है यूके का प्राइम मिनिस्टर. सो देयरफॉर अभी देखो ये जल्दी इसको हम लोग बॉटल नेक से निकाल भी सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो दैट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द फॉरेन डिप्लोमेसी. चलो ठीक है, नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं. राइनो हॉर्न्स हैव बीन श्रिंकिंग. तो व्हाट इज बेसिकली डिस्टिंक्टिंग न्यूज? ओके, सो क्यूरियस कॉलेज सो राइनो हॉर्न्स हैव बीन श्रिंकिंग. ओके, तो ये न्यूज में क्यों है? Because according to a recent study, that is the horns of the rhinoceros have become smaller over time due to selective pressure of hunting. So this study used an interesting research approach, analyzing the artwork and photographs of the animals spanning more than 5 centuries. So this study relied on a repository images maintained by Netherlands-based Rhino Research center. Okay, so what are the findings of this report? That is the 5 surviving species of rhino today. Okay, so we all know there are 5 surviving rhino species: white and black rhino combined करके in Africa, and the greater one horn rhino, Javan and the Sumatran rhino species in India. Okay, basically नसिया बोल रहा हूँ, ठीक है? तो ये जो rhinos है, that is the 5 surviving rhinos, are still threatened by habitat loss and hunting. And the rate of decline in hornland was highest in the critically endangered Sumatran rhino and lowest in the white rhino of Africa, which is basically the most commonly found species. So this observation pattern seen in other animals such as tusk size in elephants and hornland in wild sheeps. So abhi yahan pe jo key facts hai about rhino, we all know that amongst these 5 rhino categories, we know that this IUCN rhino red list के अंदर जो ब्लैक राइनो है वो किस में आता है? क्रिटिकली इंडेंजर्ड में आता है. जो व्हाइट राइनो है वो नियर थ्रेटन में आता है बिकॉज ये अबेंडेंटली बहुत ज्यादा है. ठीक है. देन जो वन हॉर्न राइनो है जो कि हमारे हैं यहाँ पे, तो दिस इज बेसिकली वल्नरेबल. इफ आई गो फॉर द जवान आइलैंड, तो जवान आइलैंड इज क्रिटिकली एंडेंजर्ड. And if I go for the Sumatran island, it is also critically endangered. And it has gone extinct in Malaysia, basically. तो ये जो 5 प्रकार के हम लोग को जो मिलता है, ब्लैक राइनो, व्हाइट राइनो, वन हॉर्न राइनो, जवान राइनो एंड सुमात्रान राइनो, so they are basically different in the respective IUCN red list. तो अभी ये जो फाइंडिंग्स निकाला है, ओके, बेसिकली दिस फाइंडिंग्स, यहाँ पे जो इन लोग का हैबिटेट लॉस हो रहा है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस हैबिटेट लॉस देयर इज अ रेट ऑफ डिक्लाइन इन द हॉर्न लैंड. ये जो इन लोग का लेंथ है हॉर्न का, ये थोड़ा अभी मतलब मान लो अगर 1 इंच छोड़ दो, 1 सेंटीमीटर भी घटा है ना, दैट इज ऑल्सो अ प्रॉब्लम टुडे दैट इज राइनोज आर फेसिंग. Okay, so because it is just because of the habitat loss and mainly of the cutting of this horn for all such number of illegal purposes. ठीक है. So इसीलिए we could see that there is a growing concern today about such number of attributes which say about rhino's horn being sinking. ठीक है. So we all know that there are various number of conservation efforts associated with this rhinos. Okay, because today we know about, even in India you can see about this New Delhi Declaration on Asian Rhinos, okay, which basically focuses on conserving these rhinos. Then this India Rhino Vision 2020, the National Rhino Conservation Strategy. Okay, so all these things are directly going on, and इसके लिए हम लोग उसका habitat बचाना चाहते हैं. ठीक है. And we all know about that in India we are basically focusing this one horn rhinoceros through various national parks as wildlife sanctuaries in Assam. Okay, so today they are protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Okay, because through poaching, through habitat loss, through population density increasing and decreasing the genetic diversity may kill this rhino, becoming critically endangered and in some point of time getting extinct in a while, as well as becoming extinct in this globe. तो इसके लिए हम लोग को यहाँ पे प्रोटेक्शन करना, इन लोग का हैबिटेट को संरक्षण करना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. नहीं तो ये जो आज छोटा होते जा रहे हैं, एक दिन ये गायब हो सकता है. ठीक है. तो वो जब इस such condition does not comes, so we pray for such things. ठीक है. चलो नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं. Convicted legislature. तो यहाँ पे क्या चल रहा है? Recently we have seen about like एक न्यूज आ रहा था कि like the 2 उत्तर प्रदेश legislatures were convicted on criminal charges, but only one of them has been disqualified and a seat declared vacant by the state legislative assembly secretariat. So what is the story behind them? So देखो, ये जो अजाम खान साहब है, MLA, who was sentenced for a 3-year jail term for making an inflammatory speech in 2019, as disqualification upon conviction on a criminal charge accompanied by a prison sentence of 2 years and more is immediate, the assembly secretariat declared his seat to be vacant. However, there has been no such response in regard to the other MLA, who was basically Bikram Singh Saini, and he was also sentenced for 2 years imprisonment in connection to a Muzaffarnagar riots case of 2013. So now, when does this convict attract disqualification? देखो, Section 8 of the ROPA, Representation of People Act of 1951, यहाँ पे certain provisions है which aims at decriminalizing the electoral politics. And there are 2 categories of criminal cases that attract disqualification upon conviction. In the first category, if the offense that entails disqualification for a period of 6 years upon any conviction, and if the punishment is a fine that is of a period of 6 years and it will run from the date of the conviction. But here we have got various number of offenses under even IPC also. So IPC में there are offenses like section 153A, making speeches, that is very much of volatile, doing something in place of workshops, ठीक है, तो वो सब तो है ही है, ठीक है. Also we have got some of the unlawful activities prevention act, उसमें भी होता है. So now we have seen about that because यहाँ पे जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के द्वारा वर्डिक्ट किया गया है, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज द पावर टू स्टे नॉट ओनली द सेंटेंस बट आल्सो द कन्विक्शन ऑफ अ पर्सन, ठीक है. In some rare cases, conviction has been stayed to enable the appellant to contest an election. However, we have seen about that Supreme Court has made it clear that such a stay should be very rare and for special reasons only. Special reasons मतलब कौन सा है? Supposedly बहुत बीमार है, बुढ़ा है, तो वो सब हो सकता है, ठीक है. So this ROPA itself provide a remedy through the Election Commission. So this under Section 11 of this Act, the Election Commission may record reasons and either remove or reduce the period of a person's disqualification. तो अभी जो सीट वैकेंट किया गया है, तो इनके पास बहुत चांसेस है आजम खान के पास, तो ईसी में भी जा सकते हैं, ये जा सकते हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास, ठीक है. अभी फिलहाल बस असेंबली के सेक्रेटरी ने इसको डिस्क्वालीफाई किए, ओके, और दूसरे लोगों को नहीं किया, तो उनके बेसिस पे ये डायरेक्टली एक क्लेम कर सकते हैं अपनी सीट को वापस लेने के लिए, ठीक है. तो ये एक इशू चल रहा था कन्विक्टेड लेजिस्लेचर का, ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे देख सकते हो, these are the things associated, okay. नेक्स्ट पे आते हैं. A chance to expand world's biosphere footprint, ठीक है. So we know about November 3 will be the first International Day of Biosphere Reserves to be celebrated beginning 2022, ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे जो biosphere reserves है, we all know that it is an international designation by UNESCO for representative parts of natural and cultural landscapes extending over a large area of terrestrial or coastal or maritime ecosystem or a combination of both, ठीक है. So this biosphere reserves are designated to deal with one of the most important questions of reconciling the conservation of biodiversity, that is the quest for economic and social development. So what is this BR? So this BR does various spatial environments for both people and nature and are living examples of how human beings and nature could coexist while respecting each and other's needs. So today if I see about the 3 zones of biosphere reserves, okay, so biosphere reserves have basically 3 interrelated zones that basically aims to fulfill 3 complementary and mutually reinforcing functions. So the core areas are there, then there is a transition area, तो core area इसके अंदर ऐसे होता है, फिर यहाँ पे एक transition area रहता है, ठीक है. So we know about such things, okay. और एक transition area के अंदर एक क्या रहता है, एक buffer zone रहता है. तो मान लो ये core area है, एक buffer zone है और एक transition area रहता है, तो 3 zones रहता है. तो core area क्या है, it's basically strictly protected ecosystem है. Buffer zone क्या है, it surrounds the adjacent core areas. और जो transition areas है, it basically goes with the greatest activities allowed, basically economic activities allowed, socio-culturally, economically and ecologically sustainable things are allowed. So we all know that all these biosphere reserves are internationally recognized sites of land at the coast or in the oceans. Okay, and we know that here before approval by the UNESCO, the sites are very much externally examined, and if approved, they will be managed based on a plan which is basically going with the protection of the footprint of this biosphere reserve. Okay, and these are basically coming under the World Network of Biosphere Reserves, which was basically formed in 1971. Okay, so today if you see that there are around 738 properties in around 134 countries, including 12 in India, 4 in Sri Lanka, and at least 3 in Maldives. Okay, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal does not have got any form of biosphere reserves. Okay, so the South and Central Asia Man and Biosphere Reserves Networking Meeting, which was planned in 2023, it is to advance the biosphere reserves establishment and management. Okay, so in addition, an expert mission has also been planned for this 2023, where Bhutan, India's northeast, and the Sundarbans in Bangladesh will also be considered. Okay, और वहां पे देखेंगे कि यहाँ पे इन लोगों को allocations मिल सकता है या नहीं. So therefore, today we know that at present India has got 18 biosphere reserves, and 12 of these 18 biosphere reserves are also part of the World Network of Biosphere Reserves based upon UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Program list. So आज ये जो 12 बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स है, ओके, सो हम लोग जानते हैं ये कौन कौन सा है. नंदा देवी है उत्तराखंड में, नौकरेक है मेघालय में, पंचमरही है मध्य प्रदेश में, अचानकमार अमरकंटक है मध्य प्रदेश में छत्तीसगढ़ के पास, देन सिमलीपाल है उड़ीसा में, Sundarbans है West Bengal, Agastyamalai in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala region, Nilgiri, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Gulf of Mannar, Tamil Nadu, Great Nicobar, Andaman and Nicobar Island, and Panna Biosphere Reserves, Madhya Pradesh. Okay, और अदर ये तो MAB में है, मैन एंड बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व प्रोग्राम, ये 12. बाकी किसमें आता है? कोल्ड डेजर्ट ऑफ हिमाचल प्रदेश, दिहांग दिबांग अरुणाचल, मानस असम, दिब्रू साइखवा असम, कच्छ गुजरात एंड सेशलम आंध्र प्रदेश. ठीक है, तो ये हम लोग का था कि हाउ वी कुड डायरेक्टली इंक्रीज दिस फुटप्रिंट, बिकॉज वी नो दैट देयर आर वेरियस बेनिफिट्स ऑफ दिस बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स, because the biosphere reserves has ensured the environmental, economic and social sustainability, and it has some of the practical ways to resolve the land use conflicts to protect the biological diversity. So therefore, in this present scenario, we could see that the biosphere reserve, which basically focuses for stakeholder cooperation and volunteer involvement, should make it realize, because if we needs to have a coordination and a cooperation between the nature as well as the anthropogenic activities, then we need to save the biosphere reserves or such number of flora and fauna in a respective region where they have got diversity. तो उसी के बेसिस पे इसमें थोड़ा डिफाइन किया गया है. तो this is all about this editorial. Okay, so that's all for today. We have got this 5 number of MCQs. Please do attempt these MCQs. We have got one mains answer. Please do attempt and send it to us via WhatsApp or Telegram. Okay, do join our Telegram and WhatsApp channel by the link given below. So that's all for today. Thank you and Jai Hind.